Please join me in giving a warm welcome to our moderator, actor, director, choreographer, three-time Emmy winner, and huge Scandal fan, Ms. Debbie Allen.
Okay, that's my seat. All right. Well, here we are. Wasn't that exciting? The first 10 minutes of the next one. I can't wait, child. I can't wait. Oh, well, let's not hold us up too much longer. Let's introduce our stellar cast. Let's start with Ms. Kate Burton, Vice President Sally Langston. Newbern as Charlie, the assassin. Bucatinsky as James. Jeff Kerry, Cyrus Dean. Malina as David Rosen. Darby Stanchfield as Abby Lennon. Guillermo, Diaz, Foley as and Miss Kerry Washington. So I'm just going to get the party started and ask a few questions, and then I will eventually turn it over to you, I promise.
Debbie Allen, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, first of all, let me congratulate all of you for being in this amazing show that is the #1 for the demographic adults 18 to 34-year-olds at 10 o'clock, #1. You've improved, your viewership has gone up 40%. I mean, like 6 million more people are watching. I mean, it's amazing. And I'm sorry Shonda Rhimes is not here, but you know, she had this quote. She had an article, an interview on NPR, and she said, I quote, there is infinite amount of scandal to be told. So I know what the end will be. I feel good about it, and it won't change. Do any of you have a clue? Anybody have a clue of what that could be? Or you know you would never tell.
Just Malina's gonna get killed.
Okay, that's
I'll take Rosen. Thanks, Columbus.
Well, I know it's going to be exciting for all of us to watch. Well, let me just start the party off with Miss Kerry Washington. Phi Beta Kappa graduate of George Washington University in Washington, D.C. So as a young woman, were you ever interested in the political underpinnings? Oh, honey, thank you, child. Were you ever interested in the political underpinnings in Washington? Was it curiosity to you? Has that helped you in researching and creating this role?
Yeah, I come from a very political family. My parents are really politically involved and engaged, and we grew up going to protests and stuff like that. And I've done a lot of work for different campaigns through the years. So when I read the pilot, I mean, when my agents told me about the show and about the role, they said it's almost as if she wrote it for you, which is impossible because Shonda and I had never met and she hadn't written it for me. And there were like 30 other actresses that felt the exact same way I did. But yes, I did feel very drawn to a lot of aspects of the show and the character and the world that the show exists within, and that was part of it for sure.
Fantastic, wonderful, and you were so great in Saturday Night Live. Did you all?
I would say that, you know, that one of the things that was amazing was, in order for me to go and do that for a week, Shonda, you know, sort of moved the schedule around and changed the episodes, and this cast, you know, just worked their butts off. And so, I'm grateful that I had that opportunity, but it's only because of everybody else sitting up here working as hard as they work that I was able to go and do that. Except for Josh.
Well, there's a rumor around town about the camaraderie on your set and what a happy set it is. So my next question is really for the gladiators and you guys.
Sweater tonight.
You all are amazing. What do you think individually each one of you brings to work, weekly and daily, that helps to make the show better, to keep the positive feeling, or to keep yourself motivated? Let's start with you.
Okay, you look.
Yeah, Kate?
I think the four of us it's a great question. We each bring, I think, our own little spice of something, and there are days where it's more dramatic scenes, and there are days where we're just like really silly, and we dance and sing a lot, and I don't know, it's a really family-based thing between the four of us.
We're also grateful, I think, for this amazing job, and
Yeah.
So what you're saying is you should be humble.
we want it to be the best, and I think we all bring like our,
As
the
best as we can.
Yeah. So I
And then we all try to get there and just be better than Kerry, which is hard.
No, but we do actually really challenge each other. Like, we do push each other in the whole cast, in the White House stuff, and the B613 stuff, and Pope and Associates. Everybody's always trying to figure out what to do to make it a good working space for everybody else. And we all have very different ways of working. Like, some people need to joke around a lot before every take.
Josh Malina.
Scott Foley.
Scott Foley farts with his mouth for every single scene. He's gonna go fart right now. Hey, Tony, security.
No, you should have entered into that.
It's really an amazing skill set, though. I mean, the variations of sounds that he can get from his mouth are unbelievable.
In all seriousness,
Wow,
we
so
all work
proud.
differently. Like, Darby is like type A personality. I'm just telling you this. It's fine. I'm telling her, you're good. Darby's Stanchfield, y'all.
I'm the one who's not cool. I'm like, not.
She body rolls now. And she sings. She sings.
Well, a
raining
lot
men.
of you sing. There's a lot of musical theater talent up here. Even your father, Joe Morton.
Yeah.
He was nominated for a Tony Award.
What about you, Debbie?
Darling, don't start.
But Miss Allen will be directing an episode later.
Well, with that said, that leads to another conversation. Scott, you've been directing a lot of things. You've directed a lot.
I have directed in the past.
So, the cinematic style of this show
Oh God, I get this question.
is enviable. It is. It's enviable. People try to imitate it, and it's a train wreck, child, and they're there till 3 in the morning. Never work again. How do you feel about the cinematic style of the show?
It's wonderful because sometimes we creep up in someone's most dramatic moment, see half of their face, and then we see the whole thing. It's like it's emotional. I mean, tell me, you talk about it now.
Well, look, I've never seen, I came into the show late, thank God. I'm sort of riding the coattails of the success of everybody else here.
You always was.
Yes, I was. But I was a fan of the show. I was a gladiator
before I was on the show.
No, you weren't.
And and I noticed that about it because I have directed. I pay attention to things like that. And this show, being on it and watching how they do it, it has a distinct visual voice, if you will, and they've spent a lot of time crafting and creating that. And our operators and our camera operators and our director photographer, Oliver Bulkenberg, is really specific about the way he lights not just the scenes but individual characters, the camera angles and the movement of the camera specifically at the beginning and the end of each episode, and sometimes of each scene, and sometimes within the scene itself, and it really helps the words with regards to the story.
Jeff, you direct a lot of theater.
Uh-oh, she stood up on that.
Yes.
Jeff.
She's angry about it.
No, I like that. You know, I want to talk.
Jeff and also Joshua. Joshua, who
Yale. You went to Yale.
That's it.
Somebody
What?
else went to Yale. Bellamy. Bellamy. Yeah, she's not here.
I went to Yale.
So, Yale, your butt off. I'm sorry. I know.
we know each other from way back, honey. It goes way back. We won't bring up the filthy past.
She's my roommate. In case you guys didn't know.
But I was really excited to see such a deep background in theater. And the two of you, could you talk about coming from the theater, how that has helped you articulate
Here's the real deal.
week
Let him
to week
answer.
to week to week
No. I'm glad you admitted that.
this show with those
You know,
words?
look, I think, what is it giving you as an actor?
Shonda's skill set still, has me shaking my head because she writes amazingly for ensemble. She writes monologues that the Tony Kushner all the way back to William Shakes would go, yeah, I like that. That's good. I'm loving that. And she is a great relationship writer. And somehow, how does she marry, a tremendously delicious summer beach romance, bodice-ripping, novel, and really deep, subtle political territory. And the show tries to do, I think it does it. I'm talking about her, not us. She does it. She does everything on each end of that and everything in between. And to me, theater, listen, I feel really blessed. I grew up at Steppenwolf Theater in Chicago with people.
One of the founding members. And you started the Steppenwolf Dramatic Academy here. They're training a lot of
Young people.
But when you work with good people, you grow, period. And I got to start with John Malkovich, Joan Allen, Laurie Metcalf, Gary Sinise, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So if I didn't learn something, I'm a effing idiot.
Don't you think, Jeff, that this company is the closest thing to being in a theater company?
And a repertory
outside
company,
of a rep company, yeah.
No, completely.
Yeah.
Completely.
Deb, you
and
come
I
from
think
dance.
Shonda, listen, I'm David Kelly may be in that territory, Milch maybe, Sorkin maybe, but Shonda is among the giants of her generation. It's a relationship that I imagine Clifford Odets had with the group theater and Chekhov had with Moscow Art Theater, and
she pulls from a huge pool of actors for all her different. She
Yeah.
uses us like a theater
she
company.
uses us like a rep company.
But,
Yes.
but Debbie, you come from dance, and what we found is that there's so much choreography in
Yes.
what we do.
Yeah.
Literally, there's choreography. The business of what we do is a dance. We talk about it. It's the dance, the music and the music and the words, the music and our tone, the music and our delivery and pace. It's very much choreography. And if we're not all together, the scene doesn't work. It genuinely
Yeah,
will
we
not work.
often have these, at least in the Olivia Pope and Associate world, we'll have these scandal line-throughs real quick, like right before we shoot a scene, where we'll all come together like a football team and huddle, and we'll say the lines as fast as we possibly
Yeah,
can,
yeah.
and then break and film the scene, and it's a way to kind of get us back into that uncomfortable pace, which we should be.
If you're fucking
you
up
know.
sorry. Whoa. If you're messing up a line, Scott Foley, Columbus short. You know. If you're messing up a line, that means you're doing it right. That's real. When you're messing up the line.
Keep telling yourself that.
Burton. Another cast member that has an illustrious theater career from Broadway, just a long London business.
Do you think that your character and the new potential presidential candidate, the Congresswoman, are really going to lay the ground for us to have a real-life female first president?
Well,
Do you think so?
Wow. It's a very interesting thing because there's a couple of us who are vying for this in this contest. Listen, I mean, it's so exciting to be playing this character. Coincidentally, at the time that I started to be in this show, I was also playing a senator in Veep with Julia Louis-Dreyfus. So I was experiencing, the great Julia Louis-Dreyfus as the vice president, and then I was cast in this show, and then I went back to do my second episode, and she was like, "Yeah, how's it going?" So that was great. I said, "It's fine. It's really different, and it's not a comedy." But this is honestly, I just got to say, and I mean honestly, so true, and I know that we all agree, but. I've been in a lot of shows over the years, and this one is pretty spectacular, and also because of exactly what we keep talking about, which is the ensemble. And, as an actor, for me, I'm always being asked to do one-person shows and two-person shows, and I'm like, no. Give me the ensemble. That's where I really love being an actor. And, a lot of us, as the Shonda Rhimes Repertory Company, obviously, we really are. I mean, Jeff and I played Ellis and Thatcher. Yes, we did. And so, I mean, we've all had different iterations, and I mean, it's hysterical to us when we look at each other sometimes playing, Cyrus and Miss Sally Langston, that, we just can't believe it. It's just been years we've been together.
A long time. I like that cross-pollination, and I'm hoping that Dr. Catherine Avery will have to come and help the
Perfection because of the backup, honey.
You don't be Harrison's mama. You don't be Harrison's mother. Super spies.
So, Dan.
Let me ask you, now, it was very interesting because I met Jeff's wife, Linda Lowy, who's the casting director for Scandal and
Yeah, that's why
And she told me how, when you were cast in this role, that you had no idea you were going to be lovers with a man. So tell me, how is it for you, Dan?
Boogie.
Boogie, is that what you call it?
Yeah, Boogie.
Boogie. How do you feel? I mean, sometimes you're not the good wife. How do you feel playing this character?
It's the role of a lifetime. To me, he's domestic.
He won an Emmy, guys.
So I like the role.
I like it a lot.
But getting to act with Jeff, I'm sorry. Talk about somebody who you walk into the ring, the boxing ring with him, and you will instantly get better, feel like you want to get better. I've learned so much from you, and look, I'm a gay actor, I'm a gay dad, I play a gay journalist and a dad. There are a lot of aspects of this role are not a stretch for me just because so much of it is close to my heart. A lot of it is a huge stretch for me because he's an ambitious and in many ways ruthless, almost as much as my husband. And it's very exciting for me to play such broad, emotional, deeply high stakes, deeply passionate stuff, both about the baby and about work and to me, that's like, it's Shakespearean. And it's one of the reasons I love so many of the scenes that everybody plays on this show. It's like, it really, everybody is pushed to the limits of what their characters could do, would do. So I feel so blessed. I mean, this is like the greatest acting challenge every single time.
And he won away. He won
that.
Can you say that slower and louder? I just didn't hear it.
I think one of the cool things about the question too is this idea that we often don't know who our characters are going to be. That because so much of the show is told in flashbacks or revealed along the way, we're constantly learning about who we are. And I remember shooting the scene with Jeff, and the new script for the next episode had come out, and he hadn't read it yet, but I was sneaking off reading it in between takes, and I came back to the table, and I remember sitting across from you and thinking, you don't even know you're gay.
We
have that experience of each other all the time. Like,
no, I'm serious. I've been scared for the last 3 seasons.
What?
Harrison has not had a love interest. I was like, Shonda, if you're gonna do it, I need to know.
But don't think you're in love with Olivia Pope.
Whoa, wait a minute.
Oh, you're a protector. Yeah, you're a brother. You're a friend.
Yeah, brother with afro. Yeah. For sure, yeah. I got a white pants, I got an afro. Yeah. Oh no.
You don't think you love
I feel like the relationship with Harrison and Olivia is very. I don't have a fucking clue. It's a real relationship. She did something for him that no one else did for him in his life. That's what I do know. And that I do know is that he will ride till the wheels fall off. Love, she could be his sister. Who knows?
Well, Charles, have you seen Game of Thrones? Honey, those brothers and sisters go. Kickball change. Okay, George.
I want to talk to George, the assassin.
You know, we just never know when you're going to show up. When did they call you? I mean, do you know in advance any of it?
No,
I mean,
this was honestly a one-spot guest spot for me. You know, you go in these meetings, and many of you go in these auditions, and you never know. And I think I almost didn't go. I think I was, I don't know if I can make it. And Sean, I've been used by Shonda twice before, so you know she's always been lovely to me, and it's just been one of those sort of lightning in a bottle, experiences for me, and not just because it's a job that's lasted a little longer than 2 minutes, because all these elements are so rare and so grounded and creative, and everything you've heard here today. I've been in so many things that they're 1 element, 2 element, 3 elements, but to have 23 elements going on at once and have it be on the air that people like to see is so freaking rare. I mean, every week, I don't know,
I mean, you just show up at the shooting range. What are you doing? Is it you and Huck? Is that what we have to look forward to? Yeah. You are trying to catch her.
Oh my God, if you do
what we do. Oh my God. It's amazing.
Quinn dies on Thursday.
I've always said I wanted to break into Shonda's office so I can just find out what's going
on. That big old black man.
I know. It's not gonna happen.
But you know, Debbie, we all along, we are sometimes only days ahead of you guys watching, sometimes a few weeks, but we have the same experience. The number of, oh my God,
the readers, tell me the readers,
and slack-jawed at our table reads.
Tears, literal tears.
We are blindsided 7 to 15 times a table read.
Yes.
And astounded.
It was so great. Like the end of last year, Dad. That's all she just said. Dad. We were like, what?
That's how we were. We were all sitting at the table read. Sometimes we come to the table read, which is when we all come together to read through the episode, and sometimes the scripts are literally hot off the presses. Like, they have kept them to themselves until the very moment of the table read. They come hot, and we are flipping through them. So it wasn't until I turned to the last page of that episode that we all were like, yeah! And we do that every week. We do it every week. I mean, sometimes I'm like, it's page 7. I've already said wow 17 times. Like, we cheer each other. We give each other standing ovations at table reads. We cry at table. I mean, all of it. It's pretty.
It comes across, and it comes across.
But it is an amazing group of writers. All of the writers are so talented. And what they do that is so rare in television, and I've worked on a lot of shows on the writing side as well.
Yeah.
What is so rare about that writing staff and Shonda at the helm is they look at every single character as being 500 different things, not one thing. What every other television show does is they hire someone, you play a part, and that's what you do. That's what you are. But this is a show where every single thing that you think you are is only one of 100 things that you are. You're sexual, and you're political, and you're ambitious, and then suddenly you are all these other things that you never imagined you'd be. And they just use us in ways that suddenly, I'm gonna do what? I'm sleeping with who? I'm related to who? I'm gonna kill who? It changes all the time.
It's great for the audience.
There's an aspect of it where we actually blindly create our characters. We create what Shonda's even gonna write. Like, you know, there's a lot of times the relationship from the pilot, and I think I gave Darby a pound.
We did.
In the pilot, and from that moment on, Shonda sees things we don't even, subconsciously. She'll see something and she goes, boom, Team Addison was formed and birthed that day. Do you know what I mean? Where we do everything together. You know what I mean?
It's so true. She has crazy insight. That episode that was all about Guillermo's. Bellamy and Tony and I walking away, shaking our heads again about it, and we got on this little jag of you create subtext all the time to orient yourself, and we all were saying, I thought for like the last 5 months that I had created absolutely personal subtext, and then all of a sudden it shows up
in the script.
And we paused, and Bellamy said, she channels into our dreams.
But by the way, just to extra tease you for next week is basically Melly's 7:52 episode. It is a window into who she is, and tomorrow.
Tomorrow night, 10 p.m.
Why she is who she is, everything about it. I mean, as all the episodes, there's a lot going on, but this is her 7:52, and it's brilliant.
So good.
So make sure that you tune in.
Oh, we got a nice little
And also,
tease.
she would be here, but she's in New York doing press for the show. And Tony also would be here, but he's an extremely prolific producer and director who's off doing another show of his own. Yeah.
I want to ask Guillermo. So you have such a complex character, and you have deep, deep roots in the world of comedy. Deep roots in the world
Half-baked
of...
with Dave Chappelle.
So, do you ever sneak out to the Comedy Store or do something just to kind of... I mean,
funny is
how's it going?
I happen to be in all the in Half-Baked, in High School High, all these films that were comedies, but I never really sought them out. I'm not a comedian. I've never done stand-up. I just booked these films, and they became sort of cult classics. But I started in the theater in New York doing mostly drama. I was part of a theater company called Intar Lab, which we were a small theater company, and now it's Labyrinth now.
It's a great theater company.
So I started in drama, and then I kind of fell into all the comedy stuff, you know.
That's pretty amazing. Okay, I want to ask one more question, and then I'm going to turn it up. Josh, you've been kind of quiet down there.
Finally.
I want to ask you about that. What is the shooting schedule like? What are the days like?
Every couple of weeks I show up.
about 5 hours, and then I go home. It's grueling.
Yeah, that's a big ensemble show. And as a result, I don't work that hard. There's very many people who do work.
No.
And the crew, God knows, is there for 12, 13, 14 hours
When
a day.
you were an OPA, you were with us.
Not that
every
hard
day.
for me.
Oh, that was unbearable.
Hey, you know,
Tell it, Darby. Tell it, Darby.
just so you know,
I didn't breathe. There was a window of working
Tell it,
hours.
Darby.
This guy is the biggest prankster on set, and his last
obnoxious.
scene, right before we have this 3-week break, he got hit with cream pies
Yes.
by our producing director, a big bath of it, because he deserves it.
He does.
That had nothing to do with what I was saying.
That is true. Tom Barrica got me there.
Time to open the floor. So I'd like for you all to come to the microphone and please ask questions about what the show is. Don't give us your resume, honey. They're not directing.
Josh Malina's producing a movie, so
Give
you're
us
not
a
going
good
to drop
question.
your
A little
resume.
bit of time to name the people.
You're going to want to raise that mic
Tell
up,
us your
sir.
name. Okay, here we go.
Hello, Tessa.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Hello, everybody.
My name is
Sherelle Elan, and
What a name.
I just want to say you guys bring fire to this show. Every scene, I'm looking for like an oxygen mask because I'm not. It's all because of the way you guys put the characters out there, and I love every single one of you all for what you do. My favorite character, though, is Cyrus Bain. A loyal tyrant. Committed to that part. And I want to know, is any of that of yourself, Jeff, in that character?
Yeah, you know, my wife teases me.
He said his wife. He said his wife, lady.
Long time ago, she said, Mahatma Patton. And it's, you know, it's kind of 5 parts Gandhi to her, and 1 part General George. And she says, you know, when General George shows up, you just want to get the hell out of the room. So I think, in a way, it really, you kind of magnify what might be a smaller part of your personality until it's intolerable.
Great question.
Okay, and how do you bring balance to make him likable? Because he's such a
Yes.
villain, but I still love him.
You know, people who've been forced to watch me over the years, said, this is really different, Jeff. This is a really different part. And I said, yeah, there's only corners of this that I feel like I've touched. And then I remembered my high school teacher, and not since then have I kind of touched this, cast me as a Iago when I was like 17. And so this high school teacher and Shonda both saw something. What was the question?
How do you make him likable? How do you? Because he's.
Look, I remember seeing Jim Broadbent. We all know the reference of that. There's a gorgeous whimsical.
Right now.
There's a gorgeous whimsical side of the British actor Jim Broadbent, and I saw him in McDonough's Pillow Man as the scariest character in there. Forrest Whitaker as Idi Amin. There's, great love in Forrest, and when you kind of put that in when there's tension between goodness and some real horribleness, then there's great tension. And I think it's a good way to cast people.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Well, first, I'd like to say I've seen a lot of shows in the last 35 years, and I think this is the most brilliant casting I've ever seen from top to bottom. All the characters. My question is, because you touched on it a little bit, how much of the character is in the writing, and how much does each actor bring to the part?
There's this funny thing
The
about
characters are so distinctive. Each
Yeah.
one is so distinctive.
There is this funny thing about television, which is a newer medium for me that's really exciting, which is that all of us had the gift of an extraordinary character to begin with.
Right.
And Linda Lowy and Shonda Rhimes casting So from the very beginning, we had the opportunity to take something very special and try to breathe life into it. But then in television, what happens is you go to work every day and the editors are watching you and the writers are watching you, and so it becomes this very cyclical process where they're feeding you and you're feeding them and they're watching the relationships, and so there's this very interesting evolution that happens where you feel like you're naked before them sometimes because they're seeing things and challenging you in ways that you are terrified, places you're scared to go. But so it is, all of it is, but again, it's all in the writing, because then we receive scripts that may have seen things that come from things they've seen in us, but it still is forcing us to go further. So I think we all work really hard to make these characters three-dimensional, but we keep being challenged by the scripts we receive to make it more and more real and more invested.
Kerry, do you remember that episode? I think it was Beltway Unbuckled. Beltway Unbuckled, when we were talking about the girl who was doing these parties, those parties, and in the script, I don't know what was in the script, but me and Kerry share a look, and it's not even in the script. We share a look, like we both knew something that no one else knew, and we saw the episode, and the look was in the episode. It was very specific, and it was very poignant, and it was purposeful. We don't know what's going to happen from that, but it was a look into the past, and it was very interesting how Shonda does that, or the editors. I don't know who's doing that, but they're picking out things that we do, looks that we do, tics that we have. You know what I mean? Ways behavior.
Yeah.
You know, like it's
because we don't add any lines. Like it's like gospel. I mean, we say word for word. We have to. But
We don't have a comma.
She said. But she says you can say it however you want. So, you know, our delivery is really, like, there's a lot of freedom in that.
But everything is on the white on the page. I think that we all act on the white on the page, not in the written word, because the written word can be delivered a billion ways, or the way that you obviously see it. We could all just make that choice. But I think when you live in the white on the page and you start to make with the eyes, you act with the eyes and the intensity with the eyes. We call ourselves the stake raisers. Because we'll do a take and we'll be like, we're going to raise the stakes.
Yeah. Let's go again. All right, let's have another question. Yes, sir.
Hi, my name is Bernardo Badillo.
Bernardo.
Hola. And this question is for Guillermo. It's kind of a two-part question, but are we going to get to see more of Huck's backstory? And also, when you have these intense scenes, especially in the backstory, and when you're doing, I don't know, like when you're in the hole or, just you're going into your zone, what do you do to prepare yourself for those intense moments and scenes? Because you have a lot of them, and I praise you for that.
As far as Huck's family returning, I have no idea, but I'm hoping that Shonda brings them back. Jessica Nicole and the little boy who played my son, they were so wonderful in the show. We'd love to have them back, but we have no idea what's going to happen. As far as preparing, I don't know. It's hard to explain. I feel like when I was shooting 752, I was extremely anxious and depressed and sad. I feel like I somehow put myself in Huck's skin, and I don't know. It's hard to explain, and just acting with all these guys, and just feeding off of that, and it was the hardest acting I've ever had to do, but it was the most rewarding as well, But
It's hard for Guillermo to explain, but we can tell you from working with him that it's pretty magical to watch.
Yes, it is.
Because we'll all be like singing some song and joking around, and then we go right before. He doesn't do it on action. It happens right before action, and he physically changes. His eyes change. His body changes.
Oh,
I don't want to say exactly what happens. You don't want to make anybody self-conscious, but he's very. I mean, he goes into this place that is. It's magical, and it's very inspiring for us, because when we see it, we're like, oh, what's my line? We're very like, but it's great. It's beautiful, and it's so. It's funny, I remember when we first started posting pictures on Instagram and stuff, people would be like, Huck is smiling. Like, Guillermo is such a happy, joyful, loving person. And so it really is his craft that allows him to be this other character.
Thank you, Kerry.
Asking us a question. What's your name, sir?
Hi, my name is Dante.
You allowed to watch the show, man?
You're my favorite character, but you know, a brother got bedtime, so.
Because you up late, you late to school because you get up at 6:30 in the morning like, I'm watching Scandal.
I actually do. I wake up really early, but I want to ask you guys, where do you guys find your music, and if a young producer wanted to get his music on a show like you?
Hey man, see, look at this. I'll feel this one down.
Do you guys know the answer?
The music supervisor?
Yeah.
They have a music supervisor that, like this last episode that was on last week, time was used.
My God, that song
was amazing.
The arrangement of it.
The Nina
how
Simone
it
song.
fit, you know.
But Shonda made a real decision that the music on this show would all be kind of these older music. That's really, it's great. A lot of Motown, a lot of R&B, a lot of classics. I mean, that's really part of the aesthetic of the show, and I don't think any of us expected it. When we saw the first couple episodes, we were like, "What is going on?"
We were like,
it's pretty extraordinary.
But every television show has a music supervisor,
Right.
and their job is to go out and find music that will support the scene, help tell the story,
You got a song
or be
for
a
the show?
little zinger. So it's not hard to find out.
You got a song for the show, don't you?
It's in there. I mean, I can make one, but I make
It's
music.
great.
I'm a producer. That's what I do.
And most shows also, in addition to having a music supervisor, have composers as well. So if you're building music, that's something to think about as well. That's a beautiful way to create music.
Shonda is a
in the world.
music-loving writer.
Yeah,
Grey's
in Grey's
for
Anatomy,
11 years has
Private
spoken with
Practice,
so many nameless
everywhere.
artists
Yeah.
and
She
bands.
also writes with music. She puts the earphones on. She's writing. The music is a huge part of her process. So sometimes the choice of the song tortures her for days, but then she picks it and it's like that was it.
How many people in here are actors? Everybody?
Yay!
Have you ever acted in a scene with music playing? That feels like the scene. Me and this beautiful woman right here did a scene, and Tom Verica decided he was going to play music. I think we were dancing outside of a house. And I promise you, I had to dial it back. I think you had to dial it back. I'm about to cry right now. It was a Nina Simone song that was unbelievably beautiful.
Yeah, Tom Verica cut. He was like, dude, you gotta
He was like, bro, reel it in. Your tears are coming. Your tears are coming. But I'm telling you, music, when you see it at a performance, music is such a layer that affects you guys. When you're watching it, it affects you. You hear a song and you're watching performances from these beautiful actors, you'll get the goosebumps, you'll get the feeling, you'll get the anxiety, you'll get all of that. It's a very pertinent part of the thing that you guys see.
It heightens the spectacle. Yes.
Hi, my name is Joshua David Gray, and
That's an amazing name.
Thank you very much. I just really love the show so much, and me and all my actor friends, we love the show so much that we did parody videos and stuff. And my question is to the whole cast. Parody is a compliment. And my question to the whole cast is, what would you like to see from your character, maybe even more importantly, from other characters? Is there anybody you'd like to do a scene with?
retweeted
You have
your
one?
videos, right?
You did.
Yes,
and
I did.
thank you. Thank you very much. And so did Kerry, so did Tony. So thank you very much. So that's my question.
You weren't the only one.
All right, so George,
Foley
answer.
watches them every night.
What do you all want to see happen?
I mean, I think that it would be nice to, our worlds are sort of separate, OPA and the White House, and so I think in a dream world, if one of us would throw down with Jeff Perry or Danny or any of these people, I think
stand up to the president and tell him
I want to give Millie a baby. Olivia.
Going back to ballet 1 for you. That's it.
I'm really mad.
Who else has some other ideas of your character, things that you'd like to see happen? Anybody have something interesting?
Yeah, relish all these new combinations. You know, anytime you get a new combination. Columbus and I got our first scene.
Hey, it was on.
No, watch it.
Okay, good.
To work with this guy, guys, is, I mean, Dan said it. Kerry gets to do it. I don't know who else is got it. It's unbelievable, man. You're unbelievable, Jeff. Seriously. Seriously, you're unbelievable. It's like, oh my God. Seriously.
So when we say what else could happen, I'm really trying to see what's going on with B613. And the two of you are the ones that are most involved. And what that means and where that is going and what is it, child, the torture. And we don't have
and George. I know, and George. And we don't have Joe Morton here. We put him on the witness stand.
Morton.
I'm wondering, the two of you have now bonded in
more ways than one.
Oh, okay, yeah. Yes, yes.
Yeah. What do you mean by that?
Look, it's a really interesting thing. It's a really interesting storyline because it involves me.
I love this guy. We killed him on Grey's
But there is something really interesting happening here, and the fact that Jake, who was sort of initially in the Olivia Pope Fitz world, has become much more involved with the other side now and recruiting Huck, and the two of them having a history with B613. I think there's a great dynamic that has happened, and I'm so interested to see where Shonda takes it.
I'm fascinated by it,
Yeah.
because your relationship with the president now, that you all were really like buddies in the past
Play
or
basketball.
something, and now he has no idea of what her relationship is with her father. And then she's got two lovers, but she loves them both the same. Two
By the way, there's not a bigger fan of this show than Debbie Allen.
I know.
So you guys.
Well, I think it's great. So I'm sorry.
No, I just want to thank you. And one last thing, I waited on Kerry Washington once, and y'all, she is the most gracious woman in the world.
I cater waitered. It was the thing, it was a museum thing.
Does she tip?
No. You went around and
Introduced yourself to everyone at the table, and I thought you were there with your parents. It was some museum night.
I was being nice for them.
There was no tip. No tip was required.
Thank you for your parodies too.
She literally
we
didn't
sit around and watch them on
She
set.
literally didn't pay the bill.
Yeah. Okay, we have another question.
She thought her meal was comp.
Hi.
Hi.
My name's Nick Saranda. Debbie actually was your script supervisor for a week on a Fantasia Barrina story in New Orleans.
What'd you do wrong?
I was filling in for someone just had surgery, so it's like the best week of my life. And hi. And my wife, I'm here because she's at home with a 3-week-old baby and we're fans of the show. Her mom told her about the show. She fell in love with it and then got me hooked on it. And
My wife would have been like, "You're going where?"
right. I didn't think I'd be able to go anywhere. I'm like,
I kind of showed her the email, like, this would be cool. She's like, yeah, you should go. I'm like, all right. You have a question? And I wish Shonda was here, but so Kerry, if you could help us out. She wants to know kind of how long it took to develop the show, which is kind of a big thing, but your character, she wanted to know if that's based on any reality or what.
Yeah,
So-
yeah. There's this really phenomenal woman who's actually a co-executive producer on the show named Judy Smith, and she is a real-life fixer. She's a crisis management expert. She's worked with everybody from Monica Lewinsky to Michael Vick, and this is what she does. And so Shonda says that initially she didn't even really want to meet with Judy because she wasn't interested in doing a new show, and that they had like a 15-minute meeting scheduled, and they wound up being together for hours. So the show is I'm always careful to say that the show is inspired by Judy, not based on her, because Judy did work in the first Bush White House, but she never had an affair. But she did. She started in the White House as a deputy press secretary, and then went out on her own. And the first big case that put her on the national stage was Monica Lewinsky. So she consults on the show not in the way that we get stories from her experience, but the writers will often come up with the most scandalous situations they can think of and then say, what would you do, Judy? And so that helps to inform some of the, and also she consults on some of the language in the show, the DC world stuff. Yeah.
Fascinating.
Great show, guys.
Thank you.
Another question?
I do. Thanks so much. I feel like I'm standing in front of greatness. It's almost overwhelming.
I'm really nervous, but I came up here because my sister was super jealous, and she was like, Debbie Allen's there! so I decided, so I'm like, okay, I have to ask, think of some question to ask, but... Okay, so I was thinking, if you could play a different character for a day and be someone else and do a cool scene, which character would that be?
Oh, that's a great question.
I want to be Huck.
I'd want to be Huck too.
I think I want to be Katie.
I want to be Cyrus. I want to be Harrison. He's so smooth and he catches things and dances and like.
What do I dance at?
Two left feet. You're just amazing. I want to be Harrison.
I want to be Sally Langston.
I want to be Sally Langston first.
Nobody wants to be Josh Malina.
Not even me.
That's mean.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hi, my name's Sherry Andrakes, and I want to thank you because as an actress and audience member, this show, I haven't been so excited for a show in a long time, and when the email came through about this, I was like in the nail salon, like, stop! Thank you. My question is about your dialogue. You have such lengthy, detailed dialogue, and it's so rapid fire, but you're so present and so connected. And I'm like, God, how the hell do they do that?
We
Please
don't.
share.
When you work with these people, seriously, Kerry goes into a place where if you're not, the train is leaving the station. If you're not on the train, you're not on the train. You're left behind. You watch these people act, and they go so far in. It's like the only way to get in is to go in. The only way to get in is to go in, and that's it.
Very rom-com.
Shonda said early on.
What? That's what?
At one of our gatherings, Shonda said early on, you guys, I could invent actor-friendly reason for why this needs to be fast, but I'd have to invent it because I'm not really sure, but it's horrible when it's
slow. It's terrible when it's slow.
And then we would all feel different organic reasons. Judy Smith helped me to one. She introduced me to Sam Skinner, who was her chief of staff during her Bush administration time, and he said the fabric of the day. I said, what's the tempo? What's the duration? And he paused and he said, you ever try to drink out of a fire hose? And that was, his honest response of what's a White House, what's the White House tempo?
Wow.
And
Yeah, and also it's hellishly hard. I
Hellishly.
can't pretend. But what happens in the course of when we're working on the scene, and I find this happens to me almost every single time, is that you start off, I always start off slowly, and you literally ratchet it up, and the directors are really, incredibly patient, but it takes some time. For me, it takes always a little bit of time, but it's always about being specific. If you're specific, once you find exactly what your choices are, you can rip through
Wrap it up.
But if you don't know what oh, baby, then you're really in trouble.
If you drop a line in the middle, you're talking so fast, right? You can't even start over.
Yeah.
You can't even pick it up in the middle.
You have to go back.
You have to go back.
It's also where the theater training really comes in handy, because when you're in the theater, when you train in the theater, you train your muscles, your mouth, you do exercises, you do all these, you know, it's like dance, you know, you use the muscles, and these are muscles, your face is full of muscles, and if you don't use them, they won't work.
It's true. We come back after hiatus, and we all feel like we're speaking through molasses. Because our muscles have gotten tired over the break, and when we come back, we're like trying to get it back, and it's tough.
Nobody talks faster than this one, though.
Yeah, she's the fastest talker.
I don't know. I think Jeff might talk faster.
No,
than
Josh is great. Everybody.
Everybody does. Everybody.
Thank you for your question.
We can have one more question, and I'm on this side. I'm sorry, it's time. I'm sorry, they told me.
I'll take questions from you guys after.
All right.
You guys can meet me outside. I got it
My
covered.
name is Kristen Alexis, and I wanted to say all of you are just fabulous. The chemistry is great with the whole cast, but my biggest thing is seeing diversity on television. And I just wanted to say, you know, I started watching the show because my aunt came to me and said, every black woman in America is watching Scandal. So that's what kind of kick-started it for me, and after that, every Thursday, it was just organic, excuse me. But I would like to ask, namely Columbus, Guillermo, and Kerry, how you feel, how you're impacting people of color, especially black women and things like that with the show.
There's not just diversity in color, there's diversity in sexual orientation.
As well, yes.
Diversity in, it's true. And I'm not going to come out.
I'm not.
No, seriously though, we talk about it a lot, and I didn't. Kerry knew before I did because she's that smart. She's like, Columbus, you better get it together because you're gonna have to be an example. And it's really. Hey, you said that every black woman in America is watching this show, and that is, hey, if every black woman wants to be Kerry Washington, we're gonna be all right.
I don't know why she's shaking her head. I don't know why she's shaking her head
because she knows it's true.
Yeah.
You know, we carry that torch. We carry it. It's like, oh wow, I started to realize that young black men want to wear suits.
Yeah.
Wow, that's just basis, like borderline. Like it's cool to dress nice.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's cool to be smart again.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's amazing. It's amazing.
Guillermo?
I feel blessed. I'm Cuban American. I'm.
Oye, papi, oye. Suavemente.
It's never touched on the show. You know what I mean? It's not referenced at all on the show. Nobody mentions his my sexual orientation or the characters or his ethnicity or anything. I feel blessed to be on a show like this. You know.
Yeah, I think to go back to something Columbus said, I think one of the things that's so special about the show is that it really is inclusive on every level. That there's diversity with regard to age, with regard to religion, with regard to sexual orientation, race, gender. And I think that's important because we live in a world where our stories should reflect all of us.
Yes.
And what I really love is that there's not a person in the world who would tune into Scandal and not be able to identify with somebody.
Yes.
And that's not just because of the exterior also, it's because every single one of these characters is a fully realized three-dimensional human being. So that's the other part of it, is that no one on the show is a token. There's not a token white guy or a token black girl, that everybody is a human being. And so even if you don't relate to somebody based on sexual orientation, you may relate to their vulnerability, you may relate to their fear, you may relate to their passion. And so what that does is it breaks down all the boundaries and reminds us that everybody deserves a seat at the table because we're all human on similar journeys, you know?
straight over.
There's a token Josh Malina though.
Is it refreshing to see a Jew on TV?
I want to say thank you for your wonderful questions. Say thank you to SAG.